Hey, I'm Lindsay, and today I want to show you how I do air fryer chicken that tastes like rotisserie chicken you get from Sam's Club. I like to do a lot of keto videos, recipe videos, sharing with you what I eat in a day, and a lot more here on my channel. If any of that is interesting to you, I would love to have you subscribe and hang around for a while. This chicken I had in my refrigerator, and I had this in the what's in my fridge video that I shared, and I'm making this the very next day. Whenever I am food prepping or making things like chicken, I like to keep a trash bowl or trash bucket next to me so that I can quickly and easily maneuver things around without dripping all over the floor. And I also like to wash my hands very frequently whenever I am working with chicken. I just don't want to run the risk of any kind of foodborne illnesses for me and the family. And yeah, so once I've got my bag out of the way and I've got my chicken in my dish that I'm going to use to season, I like to pat it dry so that it's not all wet. And then I like to use 5 basic ingredients to season my chicken. I like to use the pink Himalayan salt, about a tablespoon of that, about a tablespoon of onion powder, about a tablespoon of garlic powder, about half a tablespoon of the black pepper, and then about 1.5 tablespoons of some paprika. This is, I think, a Hungarian paprika that I'm using here. I just mix this together with my hands in a little bowl so that way I'm not having to go back and forth between my spice containers and my chicken and constantly having to rewash my hands. And once I've got that well mixed, I will sprinkle some on the chicken and start to pat it in. And another thing I really like to do is make sure to get some of that seasoning between the skin and the meat, so that way it's not just skin that's seasoned, it's the entire chicken. Sometimes you'll have to go in there and kind of loosen that skin away from the meat so that you can get seasonings down in there. One thing I forgot to tell you that I do at the very beginning of this process is I actually set my air fryer to preheat so it's nice and hot whenever I am ready to pop my chicken into it. I use the Rotisserie 5.8 quart air fryer, and I use its built-in preset for preheating it, which will preheat it at 400 degrees for 5 minutes. So now that I have my chicken in the basket, I'm going to take it to my air fryer. And whenever you first power on the air fryer to cook, it will set it at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. I want to keep it at 350, but for this first round of cooking, I'm going to bump up that time to 30 minutes. My chicken will not have reached its 165 degrees internal temperature at only 30 minutes, so I plan to cook this for longer once that timer has gone off. And as you can see, 30 minutes and I've got a lovely golden crispy skin to this. It's a little bit darker in areas where the seasoning was a little bit heavier, but it's still going to be delicious. And now, using my tongs that I have washed in between me using it to begin with and now, I'm flipping my chicken over so that I can get a crispier underside to my chicken. And then I'm going to put this back into my air fryer, which will still be hot because this has only taken me a few moments. I'm going to change my temperature to 400 degrees and let this cook for another 15 minutes. And then I will just check the internal temperature and make sure that it has reached 165 degrees before removing it from that air fryer. So the thing I love about having a rotisserie chicken or a whole chicken is just the number of meals you can get from cooking one bird. My family and I ate the thighs and the drumsticks and the wings for dinner earlier, and this is the leftovers that I am just picking off the bone so that we can have this for later lunches or dinners in the week. I like to make one casserole that has cauliflower, cheese, bacon, and chicken in it. It's really good. I think you also add broccoli to it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's an insanely good casserole that calls for pre-cooked chicken. So this meat could easily go into that, or I could easily chop this up into chicken salad. I know that it's a lot faster to use a KitchenAid mixer and shred up this meat that way, but for some reason I find it oddly satisfying to tear meat apart myself, especially whenever it still has the skin attached. You know, to each their own, and it's kind of therapeutic to me. So once this meat is all done, I will stick it in the refrigerator for later use, like I said. I love to do air fryer chickens just because they do feed my family for multiple meals, and everybody eats this so well for me. Sometimes the girls don't really care for food that we make at times, and while they will eat it, they will complain about it. But whenever they see a whole chicken, they get very excited. Caitlin absolutely loves the drumsticks, and Molly likes the thigh meat, so they feel like they're getting something that they wanted or they would choose themselves whenever I do a whole chicken like this. And they don't mind the leftovers either. I really appreciate you coming along with me today as I shared with you how I do a whole chicken in my air fryer. And if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and hang around for my nonsense. And I hope to see you in my next video.